Hey guys, I'm Candace the Edgy Veg, and today I thought we'd do something different. Today we're going to talk about some easy steps for vegan cooking for beginners. So I have 10 of them. They really helped me when I went vegan, or it was something that I really wish that I knew when I went vegan. So yeah, let's get into them. So I see a lot when I'm on like Instagram or TikTok where people are like, oh my God, vegan cooking is so complicated. Is vegan cooking more complicated than regular cooking? I mean, it kind of depends. Like the short answer is no, and then the long answer is maybe. And that all depends on if you know how to cook, essentially. So, you know, if you already know how to cook, then you are a step ahead. If you don't know how to cook, then vegan cooking is a great place to start because you don't have to worry about like cooking your meat all the way through, poisoning your family with salmonella. You can eat cookie batter right out of the bowl. But just like anything else, even if you do know how to cook, just like there's definitely a learning curve for if you learn a new recipe or do something that you've never done before, vegan cooking is the same way. So yeah, I mean, yes and no. All depends on where you're already at, but vegan cooking can be as easy as like a stir fry and as complicated as like a stuffed seitan roast with gravy on the side. You can definitely level up or down. All right, tip number one is get to know what foods are already vegan. There's so many vegan foods out there that you didn't even think about. So obviously fruits, vegetables, vegan, nuts, legumes, vegan already inherently, but also things like certain cookies like Oreos or crackers like Ritz crackers or dried pasta. Most of the dried pasta in the grocery store is vegan, unless it's like an egg pasta. So there's tons of things that are accidentally vegan that you can very easily use and that you've been using already in your recipes. And then also get to know some vegan products. So, you know, get your main staples. So get your milk replacement. I like soy or oat. You know, get a plant-based butter. Get yourself, you know, some Beyond Meat ground or Eves or something. So get those ingredients that you know that you were going to use the meat or dairy version, but get the vegan version. And take a little walk down the natural foods aisle. There's a lot of vegan stuff in there too, and a lot of gluten-free stuff if that's what you're into. My second tip is to make food that you already know how to make. Use recipes that you have been making forever, that you know and love. I always tell people, if you didn't like kale before you went vegan, you're not gonna magically like kale just because you're vegan. So if you don't like kale, don't cook kale. Cook things that you like. So take your recipes and just make the vegan version of it. So lasagna is an amazing example for this. So instead of using, you know, a ground beef, you can use something like a ground round or Beyond Meat ground. You can make a bechamel. You can use the exact same method for making bechamel, but swapping out the 4 cups of milk for 4 cups of soy milk. So using those replacements, go get those replacements and just make the same recipes with those vegan versions of those ingredients. My third step is to rethink the way that you look at a plate. So really retrain your brain. A lot of us are, especially here in North America, if you lived in the country like I did, you know, there's always the protein, and that's the hero of the plate. And then your vegetables are kind of just side dishes. They're afterthoughts. A lot of the time they're steamed or boiled. At least that's how I grew up. So rethink them. Rethink making vegetables the hero of the dish. You can make really plant-forward foods, vegetable-forward foods that are delicious. You just have to learn how to cook them. And then there's all kinds of dishes like curries and stews that are one dish as opposed to little items of a dish. So definitely rethink the way that you look at your food, and that's going to make your meal prepping a lot easier. All right, my fourth tip is to cook your vegan proteins or your vegetables the exact same way that you would cook your chicken or your beef. So, you know, use seasoning. For the love of God, season your food. Use marinades. You can use a grill. Use those techniques. Use those flavor profiles. Just do them on vegan food. So do them on tofu or seitan or cauliflower. The key really here is not trying to learn everything from scratch, because a lot of those tools that you already know from cooking can just kind of be like moved over to the vegan version of things. So definitely treat your vegan proteins and your vegetables the exact same way that you would treat your meat, the same way. Step number 5, little segue from step number 4, is season your food. For the love of God, season your food. The amount of times I see people that are like, oh, I don't like vegetables. And then you see how they grew up or how they're cooking it, and it's like boiled Brussels sprouts and steamed carrots. Yeah, that sounds gross. So you can roast carrots with garlic and cumin and maple syrup and miso, like season your food. It's gonna make you actually like your vegetables. Step number 6 is to plan and prep. This saves a ton of time in the kitchen. So you just need 1 to 2 hours. I like to do it on a Sunday, chop my vegetables. I like to do a big grocery shop too and wash everything, chop everything. You know, you can take this time to use your food processor to mince all your garlic, or, you know, slice your onions and then put everything in the fridge. You're more likely to cook at home and you're less likely to spend a ton of time in the kitchen if everything's already ready for you. You know, when you're feeling really lazy and you want to get Uber Eats, it's a lot easier to convince yourself to cook if everything's already prepped and you just have to throw it into a pan. Step number 7 is keep it easy and efficient. If you have my cookbook, you know that the first thing that it says is read the recipe from start to finish. I don't know how many people I have met that like just go into a recipe blind. Read your recipe from the beginning to the end, because then you can plan, you have a plan of attack then. You know exactly when you can clean while you're cooking. You know, if part of it is in the oven, you know, I have, 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna wash these dishes really quick, so you can cook and clean at the same time. Also, measure out your ingredients. It's so easy. Instead of, halfway through being like, oh no, I forgot to grate all this garlic or whatever. So I have these little bowls. You guys have seen them in my videos. We portion out all the ingredients. They're measured out, they're ready to go. So you can just like, bing, bang, boom, you're done. Bing, bong, you're done. And put them in, and it saves so much time. And then the cleaning while you're cooking, also such a time saver. Make sure that your kitchen is stocked with at least some appliances that you're going to use all the time. So my 3 that I always say are good for, if you're really getting into cooking, they're good starter items are a food processor, a blender, and a good sharp knife. Chopping vegetables is a lot more satisfying and less irritating if you have a really nice sharp knife and those cuts are, really going through. And for your blender, vegans, we love a good blender. I have a Vitamix, but you don't need to have like a super high-speed blender like I do. But I make so many things from scratch in my blender. I make cheeses in my blender. I make sauces in my blender. I make creams in my blender, like cashew cream. It can be used for so many things. You can make nut milk in your blender. I really rely on that very much. And then the food processor. So I actually use my food processor for the slicing attachments, because you can slice your vegetables in like no time at all. You can slice a ton of onions, you just put it through the slicer. You can grate a ton of carrots just by putting it through the grating attachment. Slicing really anything. So that also takes your slicing time, your veggie prep time, from like, let's say 30 minutes or 20 minutes, depending how fast or slow you are, or 10 minutes even, to like 5, which includes setting it up. My 9th tip is not to be afraid or snub your nose at convenience foods. We all have lazy days. Sometimes we have our guilty pleasures. Maybe it's a box of Kraft dinner, or mac and cheese, as you people in the US know it as. But you can really elevate those types of things as well. So sometimes I want to cook, but I don't want a box of mac and cheese just alone. So I will add, some ground round to that, maybe a little bit of tomato paste, some spinach. You can really beef up convenience foods. I love to do that with ramen. We have ramen at least once a week. So take the packet and, make the broth, but I like to add some soy milk to the broth. I do use like the seasoning powder, but I also put a bunch of bok choy in there and corn and mushrooms. So taking convenience foods like that and elevating it, it takes out some of the extra time and also some of the guesswork. And you get to play around with your food. Who doesn't love that? And then last but not least, my 10th tip is to have fun and like stay inspired, try new things. I have a girlfriend who picks up a new thing from the grocery store that she's never tried every time she grocery shops. So then she gets to, research how to use it. Try the foods of different cultures, different flavor profiles, and you can use Pinterest or even TikTok to get inspired and save recipes that you'd like to try, because cooking doesn't have to be daunting. It doesn't have to be a task that is a chore. It can be fun, it can be relaxing, it can be enjoyable, as long as you account for all these tips and have the right tools. All right, guys, so those are my 10 tips for easy vegan cooking for beginners. Let me know if you have a tip that you think someone can benefit from by leaving it in the comment section down below. You guys are really awesome with helping each other out and responding to people's questions and that sort of thing. So I'd love to know if you have a tip that you swear by. Is there a product that you swear by that you always have in your home, always have in your pantry? Leave that in the comment section down below. And if you like this video where I give you tips, it's a little bit different than normal cooking videos, give the video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you next time. Bye.